Vande Gurunam Charanarvinde Sandarshita Swatma Sukha Vabode Nishidase Jangali Kayamani Samsara Hava Hava Moha Shantiye Abahu Purushakram Shrinka Chakrasi Darinam Sahasra Shirasam Shwetam Pranamami Patanjali Om.
Hi, I'm Christince Vumai with Wichita Ashtanga Yoga, and I'm here today to talk to you about your hips. So I have my friend here, Randy the skeleton, to kind of give us an idea of what it means to have hip flexibility and kind of the places where we are short and the places where we maybe need to spend a little bit more attention on. So let's start with just the hip joint in general. So when we look at the hip joint, we have the femur that has a very big trochanter, which has a very big ball and socket joint that kind of moves into the pelvis. And so with this ball and socket joint, you can see that we can take, without muscle, right, without life experience, we can kind of move this leg in so many directions, right? We can kind of bring it around town, take it forwards, backwards. But in our daily lives and the way that we grow up and start walking and sitting and working at a computer, that rotation and that flexibility becomes very much limited. So what we're trying to do with yoga is reestablish that rotation and kind of work against our daily lives and how we maybe set ourselves up for not so much success. So let's first talk about our hip flexors, which is the very front of our hips. So for on me, this is probably about right here, kind of the hip bone to the thigh. And you can kind of feel that when I bring the leg up. If I put my hand flat on my thigh like this and I bring my leg up, I can feel that space start to shorten and tighten. And how that looks here on Randy the skeleton is we have the insertion point here at the hip bone and the top of the femur. And the muscle is long and lean like this. And the moment we start to flex it, right, it starts to become a little bit shorter. And it serves its function, right? It brings our leg into this position, which is very practical. But when we spend our whole entire day sitting this way at a computer, at work, on the couch, at a desk, it doesn't become quite so healthy. So this becomes over tight and we start to experience a lot of issues, maybe in our low back, especially because what happens is we have what's called a reciprocal relationship with our muscles. So we have a muscle here on the front and a muscle here on the back. So just to get a little bit technical with you, if the muscle here on the front is becoming tight, as it does here in this position, what happens is this muscle here in the back becomes super long. And that's what has to happen. This muscle contracts, this muscle lengthens. If I straighten the leg, then this muscle becomes long and this muscle contracts. Does that make sense? Maybe. You can very much see that like in your tricep and your bicep. So my bicep is up here, my tricep is down here. If I flex, you can see my bicep comes short and tight and my tricep goes long. And the moment that I extend my arm, my tricep becomes short and then my bicep becomes long. Same thing with our legs. So the two places that we have issues are in the front at the hip flexor and then back at the glutes, right? So what we're trying to do with this practice and with yoga is trying to lengthen the hip flexors, strengthen them, trying to strengthen the glutes, not so much that they're tight and immobile, but enough that we can find some rotation. So we can kind of bring them around to pigeon, maybe come do something funky. Oh, imagine that your knee joint is not doing that and come into lotus. Maybe even go a little bit crazier, right? And bring your leg behind your head. Yeah, something you're interested in? Maybe, maybe not. But hopefully these exercises that we're going to go through together in just a moment will get you a little bit closer to that point. Okay, so let's begin on some hip opening and stabilizing exercises. So we're going to do both the right and left side. I'm just going to show you the right side. And after we do this, I want you to just take a moment to notice how both sides feel, because you're going to feel a huge difference. One side is going to feel very tight and very tense, and one side is going to feel like, please just, let me move. Yeah? Okay, so let's come into a tabletop position. So wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And we're just going to start with some leg lifts. So we're going to keep the knees bent. And we're going to inhale, lift up that right leg. Keeping the foot flexed. Exhale, lower, drop it. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, 2. We're going to do everything for 5. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, 3. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, 4. Last time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, 5. Now we're going to do a fire hydrant, opening up to the side. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, 1. Open. Close, 2. Open. Close, 3. Open. Close, 4. Last time. Open. Close, 5. Now at this point, you may want to switch and go ahead and do the right side depending on how your hip is feeling, or you can go ahead and continue through. Now we're going to add some continuous movement doing the same exercise or doing the same movement. So lift the leg, open, close 1, back, open, close 2, back, open, close 3, back, open, close 4, last one, back, open, close 5. We're going to take it in reverse. Open, back, drop 1, open, back, drop 2, open, back, drop 3, open, back, drop 4, last one, open, back, drop 5. Do both sides, and let's see how it goes. Let's meet back in a tabletop position, and we're going to start with the right side. So step that right foot forward, left foot stays dropped. You can bring both hands to either side of that right foot. So if this is too challenging and you have some blocks or something handy, you can bring yourself up a little bit higher, set your hands on the block, or you can keep your hands down on the mat. We're going to, again, find some dynamic movement. So to kind of get into this hip flexor here specifically, the idea that I told you about with Randy the skeleton, where we flex it too much throughout our day, sitting, right? We have those 2 insertion points too close together. I want in this exercise, in this movement, for us to think about stretching that area. So let's see if we can get a little bit deeper into it. So we're going to keep our hands planted. We're going to straighten the right or left leg, bend deep into that left hip, and inhale, come forward. Let's do that a couple more times. So just come back, pull the toes back towards the face. Come forward. Think about your sit bones and your hips and see if you can drop them closer towards the mat, closer towards the heel. Come back. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, come back. And inhale, come forward. So now I found some movement and I can kind of really drop my sit bones, drop my pelvis, the hips down towards the ground. I can even heel toe that front foot a little bit farther forward and start to send my hips towards the top of the mat. And now I'm really going to start to feel a stretch here in that hip flexor. Let's see if we can take it one step deeper. I want you to tuck those back toes, lift the back knee, straighten that leg. So notice my hips stay just as they are. I'm not here, right? Like I'm not about to take off. I'm just straightening my leg, pressing through that heel so I can start to feel a nice stretch through the back of my calf and through the front of this hip flexor. And exhale, drop. Keep the hips just as they are. Lift the knee, press through the heel. Exhale, set it down. Again, inhale, lift and press. Exhale, set it down. Last time. Inhale, lift and press. We're going to hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Set the knee down. Very good. Step that foot back and switch sides. Okay, so after doing both sides, let's come back to tabletop. We're going to tuck the toes, lift the knees, press it back, down dog. Very good. Just stretch out the back of the thighs. Hopefully noticing how the right and left side are a little more open. Have a little bit more talking back to you than they did before. Maybe a little bit more awareness. Let's see if we can extend that a little bit more. So we're going to come into a crescent lunge, Anjaneyasana. So we're going to step that right foot forward. Keep all 10 toes pointing to the front. We're going to come up. So whatever you would like to do with your hands, whether they're on your hips, you can bring them together heart center. You can take the arms overhead. We're going to be here for just a little bit. So really, this is about the hips. So find whatever most comfortable and stable for you. Okay, so we're still working on opening up the front of these hip flexors. So let's dive straight in. So from here, we're going to straighten that right leg. Exhale, bend down. Inhale, straighten. So this should feel a little bit more intense than what we just did in tabletop. Exhale, bend down, because now we have the whole entirety of the weight of the upper body pressing down on it. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower. 3. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower. 4. Can you go a little bit deeper? Can you send that left leg back a little bit more? Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower. Let's hold here for 5. Maybe heel toe or slide that left foot back just a little bit more. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Let's straighten that right leg. We're going to turn the toes towards the long edge of our mat. Heels in, toes out. We're going to come into goddess pose. Bend the knees, drop the hips. Hands together, heart center. So best case scenario, I want your thighs parallel to the mat. That may not be successful. It's a little challenging even for me here. So do the best you can. Try to take your knees and press them back to the pinky sides of your feet. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Let's straighten the legs. Pause for a moment. We're going to find some pulses using our breath. So exhale, lower down. Inhale up. 1. Exhale down. Inhale up. 2. Exhale down. Inhale up. 3. Exhale down. Inhale up. 4. Last time. Exhale down. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Straighten the legs. We're going to pivot. Come to that left side. So now all 10 toes are facing the back of your mat. I have to adjust my feet here. Bend into the left knee. Right leg straight. Here we go. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, lower. 1. Inhale up. Exhale down. 2. Inhale up. Exhale down. 3. Inhale up. Exhale down. 4. Last time. Inhale up. Exhale down. Hold. 1, 2, 3. Maybe slide that right foot back slightly. 4, 5. Good. Straighten the legs. Come back to center. One more time. Heels in. Toes out. Hands together. Heart center. Lower down. Inhale up. 1. Maybe you're a little bit more successful. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Maybe you're a little more tired. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. 3. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. 4. I'm sliding. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. 4. Last time, inhale up. Exhale lower. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my goodness. 3, 4, 5. Straighten the legs. Ooh. Step it together. Very good. Okay, we're going to come up against the wall. So move your mat up against the wall, and let's take a little break. Very good. The last thing we're going to do, which is going to feel super good, especially after all the things we've done already, is we're going to take a figure 4 up against the wall. I really like to use the wall because it allows us to be a little bit more mindful of the depth that we're taking, and it kind of offers some resistance, and it takes a lot of the pressure off of the hip that maybe we would find in a traditional pigeon, to where it feels like we're like bracing and we're tensing and we're doing all of that contracting, which is kind of what we're not trying to do in these positions. So let's see if we can try it and see if we're a little bit more successful. So I want you to come as close to the wall as you can. Let me turn this way for a second. I want you to bring your hip as close to the wall as you can. So it's like literally right up against it. And then you're just going to lower down and swing your legs straight up. Excuse me, let me move this mic for a second. Very good. Now we're going to take the right ankle and set it on top of that left knee. And so depending on your flexibility, this may feel like enough. This is perfect. You may say, whew, I'm over it, right? So stay here. If you want to take it one step further, I want you to take your hand and bring it to your thigh. Kind of push the knee towards the wall. So don't push your knee. You're pushing a joint that already has mobility. And if you're pushing on that, you could cause further injury. So kind of push on the meaty part of your leg and relax in that hip and move the knee towards the wall. If you're still like, I don't feel anything, if you're one of those lucky ones, you can take it a step deeper and start to bend into that straight leg and pull that foot down towards the ground. So the closer that foot is towards the ground, the more intense you're going to feel it in this bent knee hip. And again, you can take that hand to the thigh and kind of guide it away. We're just going to hold here for quite a few moments and just see how you're feeling. The biggest test of any hip opener is your breath. So are you holding onto your breath? Are you just kind of bracing yourself to grime through the tension? Or can you find the balance to where it's deep enough where you feel the stretch, where it feels intense, but you can still find deep breaths and move through it? Not in a labored and forced and pain way, but you feel that sensation. You're kind of able to rise above it. Because that's what yoga is, right? We're kind of forced with the stimuli, with these circumstances, with these situations where it's very abrasive, very uncomfortable, very challenging. And your job, your opportunity for growth is to be in that situation, but to stay calm and steady and at ease. So here on my mat, can I introduce myself in a physical situation where it feels a little uncomfortable, a little challenging, but can I still breathe easy? Can I still be reflective and not reactive? Can I still observe without participating? That's your challenge. That's the work. Not how far can I get in this hip opener? Not how crazy of a pose could I get into? But can I be challenged and still be in my center? Very good. Let's release and switch sides.
Vande Guranam Charanarvinde Sandarshita Swatma Sukha Babode Nishidase Jangali Kayamani Samsara Hala Hala Moha Shantiye Abahu Purushakram Shrinka Chakrasi Dharinam Sahasra Shirasam Shwetam Pranamami Patanjali.